Marketing costs money. And if you want to sell any product, any service, any startup idea online, the whole goal of this business is to be profitable. And what we learned with investing millions and millions into marketing, that it becomes increasingly harder to keep marketing costs really low. Like there's a certain range. For example, if you put Google ads and Facebook ads and YouTube ads and Instagram and maybe even TikTok all in one basket, and there's like an average cost associated with the fact that you try to acquire your customers through these channels. If you run paid ads, you have a certain number of CPM, you have a certain reach cost, you have a certain range-bound click rate, which is between 0 and 5% outbound. You have a range-bound conversion rate, which is between 0 and 25% for paid first initial transactions. And so this gives you like a range where your acquisition costs will fall into, which is typically between 10 and 40, 50 euros on highly optimized marketing systems. And if you know this, then you can be very strategic with what kind of business models you want to work with. Because if you know that if you want to scale and acquire tens and hundreds of thousands of customers through these channels, the average per acquisition cost will be, for example, like 20 euros, 30 euros, 40 euros. And some dropshippers or some people that only sell the 20 euro product, they would tell me, yeah, but that's too high for me. I can afford that because I only make 17 euro profit margins per sale. So I need my CPAs way lower than that. I tell them, yeah, your business is just not good enough then. Stop running ads. Focus on other businesses that bring more value to people, where your CLTV can be higher so you don't have this profit margin struggle all the time. There's a famous quote. I don't know if it's from Russell Brunson, the founder from ClickFunnels, but it's one of the good quotes in the digital marketing space, which basically says the businesses that have the highest CLTV, the highest customer lifetime value, will win the marketing game long term because they can spend more money to acquire a new customer. The CLTV is a very good metric that shows you how much value you bring to your customers. Do you bring some little value and customers pay you on average 20 euros for your business service, for being a client, a customer? Or do average customers pay you thousands of euros and are still happy with what you're delivering because you bring them so much value and so much benefits and such a happy fulfillment transformation that they just spend that money with you and they are glad doing it. So all these low CLTV, low value businesses basically that don't really provide a lot of value to the society, they will die out because they can no longer afford the rising CPM costs, the rising marketing costs. And the businesses that are going to win on the long term are going to be the businesses that have the highest customer lifetime value by selling multiple products to the same customer, by selling products through subscription services, to multiple upsells over time, long-term retention, equipping the customer with a lot of good stuff. And so the name of this specific video section here is the same name that one of the key metrics says in the KPI framework list, which is ROAS. ROAS stands for return on ad spend. It's like return on investment from an investment, but in this case, we invest into reach. We invest into clicks, into marketing spend, into our daily budget. And so this ROAS, this return on ad spend, is basically the same metric that we have here on our framework on the very right part of the sixth pillar, which is the CLTV. Here we have the CLTV between 0 and 10,000 euros. And if you divide your CLTV with your CPA, you derive the ROAS. So if you have a 10 euro CPA on a 100 euro CLTV, that could be a one-time product that costs 100 euros and you have no upsells. That would be a fairly not so good optimized business because you only have one product and you don't use email marketing or any retention marketing. But you would get a 10x ROAS on these kind of businesses. You could also get the 10x ROAS by having a 5 euro CPA and a 50 euro CLTV. This would be an even worse. This business would be even worse because you have an even lower CLTV, and you see that to keep the same 10x ROAS, you need to be way better with your CPA. So now you need a 5 euro CPA, which is crazy hard to get on a scale, and it's definitely not a long-term sustainable thing. You won't keep a 5 euro CPA for years on end within the same audiences. That's just not how it works, because of all the other metrics that make that add up to this 5 euro CPA. So this is like not a situation that you want to put yourself in. You want to have at least a 150 euro CLTV. So if you fall between this average range of 10 to 40 euro CPA costs, that you are still 5x, 10x profitable, even if you kind of do a worse job in your marketing. And so what I always advise and what I always do with my own brands is I try to scale on a 10x revenue ROAS, which means with €1 million yearly ad spend, I want to make 10 million in revenue, which if I have good margins and good cost optimization in my business and maybe an optimized tax setup, I would make half of that revenue in profit. So it would be a 10x revenue ROAS, 5x profit ROAS. You have 1 million in ad spend, you have 10 million in revenue, you have maybe 2.5 million in expenses here and 2.5 million in tax and production and logistics, and you keep 5 million. This is very, very healthy and very good. I see that so many businesses, they try to have their marketing budget super high, like they want to spend these 1,000, 2,000 euros per day on Facebook ads, and their CPA keeps dropping, and their CLTV isn't high enough, so they have like a really low ROAS, and they try to make ends meet by spending a lot of money on their marketing, but not getting a lot of them for themselves. Like if you see that you spend way more, like imagine you're this one business founder, you have like your business, and there's Facebook, your business partner, for getting new clients, for getting new customers, for giving you, like, they're basically your partner when it comes to marketing. You could have Google, TikTok, Facebook as your marketing partners. And so now you're in this partnership with this big social media platform. And you have the product, you market it, you produce it, and they help you get the reach and the customers. Now, what is a fair split on profit? Because if you pay 1/3 of your revenue already to Facebook, which means you have a 3x revenue ROAS, then you definitely, if you have an e-commerce business and you have other costs and production and logistics, you will keep way less than 30% of your revenue. You will keep like maybe 5 or 10 or 15% of your revenue. So you would have 10, 15% profit margins, while Facebook keeps 30% for helping you grow and market your products. So this wouldn't be fair. As soon as you pay more money to these ad platforms than you get for yourself, that's when something is seriously wrong with your CLTV. Mostly with your CLTV, but also sometimes there could be something seriously wrong with your first 5 pillars, which basically add up to a really, really bad CPA cost. Like, for example, 100, 200 euro CPA cost would also be a bad 3x ROAS on a 600 euro CLTV. And again, for the CLTV, it's pretty much irrelevant if you make all this money on the first sale. I would rather make them on different sales. I would want to make between 1 and 100 euros on my first sale, and I want to make between 100 and a couple of thousands of euros in the next 1 to 3 years after acquisition. And then I look at my average numbers. I look how many people actually buy the second upsell, how many people actually get into the subscription, and how long do they stay on average. From that, I get all my numbers and I multiply them with the amount of people that have paid. Like I see, for example, if 50% of my existing customers get into the 1,000 euro per year, 100 euro per month subscription, I know that I get like 500 euros on extra CLTV on average on an average customer per year. And if I see that they on average stay 1 year, then I can add these 500 euros to my initial order value. So it basically all adds up, but you have to make sure that you actually have good upsell rates and good retention rates on the stuff. And the CLTV is not what you have to offer. I don't care if you have to offer thousands of high-priced products, and this is all in your store, and theoretically people could buy the stuff. Like, for example, if you added like this, if you would buy the whole Apple shop, the whole Apple online shop, you could configure a Mac for 50,000 euros. You could get yourself 6 iMacs and 6 MacBooks and 50 iPhones. But no one does that. That would be like 500,000 euros CLTV. No one does that. That's not the average customer behavior. So you need to find out the average customer behavior, see how many people actually buy the iMac, how many people actually get into the subscription for a year, how many people actually do that. And then you calculate it with your average user base of overall customers that you've acquired. And if you have, for example, really low rates there, if you have 10,000 customers trying out your first product for 25 euros, and you only have 90 people opting into your subscription, which would be less than 1% retention rate, something is seriously off with your aha moment, with your pricing maybe, with your marketing. There's something definitely off because you have a really, really low retention rate. So you don't bring enough value to them. And so what this ROAS metric basically does is it shows you the overall health of your business. How much revenue, how big is the ratio between ad spend and revenue. And you see here that, for example, if you have 10,000 euros daily ad spend, and you can keep that for longer periods of time, and you have a 10x ROAS, that's 100,000 in daily revenue, which would be 3 million per month, which is a crazy high number to get. And you see how high up the scale this 10,000 euros daily ad spend would be. So this is like the pinnacle where we all strive to get to with our digital businesses. And this ROAS metric basically tells you how healthy is your overall six bottleneck system here. And it could be a bad ROAS because you have a good CLTV, but really bad acquisition metrics. Then it would be really easy if you have a good product and a good brand. It would be really easy to fix that just through better marketing. And then you could fix like the content, the traffic, the conversion. And by fixing that, you would get your CPA costs way down, which would bring your ROAS way up on same CLTV. So that would be a way to fix it. If your struggle is good acquisition, which you, by the way, you get only good CPA costs if you have good product, good brand, good content, good traffic, and good conversion. If you have any bottleneck here, like product, you will not get at these really, really good CPA costs because people will just see the product and they're like, this is a shitty product. I don't need this. and you can try everything in your marketing, it just won't work. So if your systems look like this, good product, good brand, good content, good traffic, good CPA, and low ROAS because of low CLTV, then what you're doing right now is you're acquiring customers basically into a one-stop, one-time shopping thing where they buy some cheap product once and they never repurchase. You have no retention game, no brand community building, nothing. And through through more development of more high quality retention products and more upselling, like a subscription or like other products, a bigger assortment, bigger product category, you could fix this low CLTV, and by that immediately you would fix your ROAS, and you could then scale even higher because you now don't need to care so much about cheap acquisition costs, and you can be fine by having your acquisition costs rise. Again, if you scale your daily budget, these numbers drop. Like, for example, the first thing that drops is your main CTR, the outbound CTR drops, the conversion rate drops, and the CPA rises because you scaled your budget higher. And so if you have a good CLTV, then you don't need to worry about that. You can keep your CPA can rise to 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 euros. You would still be very profitable because of this high CLTV. And that's why these numbers are so powerful. And we use them every day. We use them with our own brands. We use them in consulting. We use them before founding a new venture. We do everything with these numbers. And it's so important that you master them and that you see them and that you find your bottlenecks and that you can assess and evaluate your product, your brand, your content, your traffic, your conversion, and your CLTV. And it's just such a fun to work with all these numbers, especially for math nerds like me. And so this was basically where the ROAS metric comes in. Very, very important. It's the first pillar when it comes to thinking and talking about the CLTV topics and sub-pillars. And now we have 6 more to go.